recreational drugs. More people take cannabis than regularly go to church. 7 surveys of young people carried out since 1993 and I think 2007 show cannabis use ranging from 53% in university students to 96% in readers of a certain dance magazine. 2/3 of all registered voters under the age of 25 take cannabis. All have access to harder drugs if they want them. Everyone who wants to take drugs is already taking drugs. If the government cannot keep drugs out of the prisons it administers, or even out of the households of their own personnel, what hope is there of its doing so in a free society? There will, therefore, always be a supply of drugs, and people will always want to take them, and it will always be there. For the first time, I think I can speak with absolute total expertise and authority. It is easy to smuggle drugs into this country. It is easy these days to grow some recreational drugs like vine-blown skunk in the back garden or wardrobes. People will sell drugs because it's easy. The profits are high and the risks of getting caught are pretty low. There's a high demand for drugs which is almost being supplied, but never has been. This obviously and clearly means prohibition doesn't work, even from the prohibitionist point of view. But prohibition does have lots of other effects. Prohibition, for example, makes drugs expensive. Most drugs come from plants, not all, most. Most plants, very cheap. Illegal drugs have to be sold on the black market. Those who sell illegal drugs risk being sent to prison or fined. They can and do charge money for their trouble. Prohibition causes crime. Some people cannot afford to buy these artificially expensive drugs they want to take. Sometimes they might even steal other people's things to sell them in order to buy drugs. The illegal drug business is so profitable that people have violent fights over territory in which to sell drugs. They can afford to buy guns. Guns are bad. Once a country is full of people with guns, the guns will never go away. Prohibition busts. People who take illegal recreational drugs are criminals. Criminals get busted, receive criminal records, lose their jobs, get kicked out of schools and universities, and get sent to prison. Prohibition also promotes utter disrespect for the rule of law. The increasing numbers of drug users make larger and larger fractions of the population cavalier with respect to the rule of law. This could ultimately be the greatest threat of all. Undermining of the rule of law would cost us some of our cherished freedoms as we slowly but surely descend into anarchy. This is all illustrative, as some of you I'm sure must know, of Rousseau's social contract, where it is held that a society arises from an agreement between the citizens and an elected subgroup of them, which we often call the state. In exchange for upholding their liberties by the rule of law, the citizens agree to empower the state by paying it taxes. Insufficient law yields anarchy, for example, the American firearms laws. Excessive law yields tyranny. The Iranian religious laws would be an example of that. Western jurisdictions have sought the optimum by forbidding acts harmful to others, but allowing all those that are not, including those that are harmful only to itself. This principle was first applied officially by von Humboldt in 1810. It is these days known as the consenting adults in private legislation. Prostitution, homosexuality, even suicide are no longer crimes. The only exception is that prevented by prohibition, the taking of recreational drugs. Prohibition poisons. There are no controls in the black market, so some illegal drugs might be mixed with dangerous substances. Plastic hardening agents, I know, are often mixed with hashish. These vaporize when smoked, recondense in the lungs, cause severe tissue damage, and don't get you stoned. Amateur laboratories, often inadvertently, leave in some ingredients, for example benzene, when making ecstasy, which are quite simply poisonous. Some people will sell adulterated illegal drugs to make more money, for example cutting cocaine with lavatory cleanser or laxative, cutting heroin with ground glass. Black market drugs are of variable strength and can thus cause accidental fatal overdoses. Black market drugs may be administered dangerously due to inadequate education and resources, resulting in deadly serious infections such as AIDS or hepatitis B. Much as I distrust this or any government, I don't believe that if recreation drugs were legal, they would be mixed with poison. Prohibited drugs increase, prohibition of drugs increases the strength of the drug in question. During the prohibition of alcohol in the United States in the 1920s, like former regular beer drinkers in Chicago ended up injecting mainlining pure alcohol into their blood. The prohibition of opium was followed by the popularity of heroin. Prohibition of regular natural marijuana was followed by mind-blowing skunk. Okay. Get alcohol, I can drink non-toxic beer. Cigarettes, I can smoke ones that don't seem to have any tar in them at all. So if it's legal, it gets weaker. If it's illegal, the drug gets stronger.